Important Toad notice. During the creation of this diary, the dragonfly was under mind altering substances. Events mentioned may not align with universal reality. The way gods feed is a very delicate process. They need to consume the thoughts of mortals without impacting their psyche, so they must be precise. Having a clear individual identity helps with this. Giving worshippers a direction betray their thoughts and an easy divide between what is food and what isn't. Then you have Trigar, who gets their worshippers high. Trigar is described by many to be a shapeless being, able to take on any form and appear anywhere. For our sake, Trigar is a humanoid, cephalopod like creature who seems to particularly like shells. While many gods feed on the concrete, Trigar feeds on the abstract. How Trigar accomplishes this is with her blessing. The same way a tree makes fruit, so we spread its seeds, gods make blessing to spread their followers. Trigar, funnily enough, leans much more closely to a tree than its fellow gods. The fruit Trigar makes resembles a small red bear. Little doses can help with headaches or migraines, and slightly higher doses are a sedative. This made it very valuable for medical and personal practices. His blessing is a symbiotic plant species cultivated by Trigon. It can exist without her, but only came into existence because of her. This makes this plant a classification of life considered an angel. So during the expansion of the Taka Empire, this fruit spread far and wide. Unknown to mankind, consuming this fruit would allow Trigar to make a connection with them. People have reported visions while under this sedative, but it was all chalked up to be just dreams. It wasn't until the appearance of the first prophet that the truth would be revealed. Then I saw God. They led me from paradise, through my mind, out the cave, and back through the forest. A path I cannot remember, but one easy to find. This is a quote from the first prophet. I will be referring to them as the first prophet since they denounced their birth name. At first, it seemed to be this prophet was speaking of an afterlife, a not uncommon tactic for gods. While we know that our body returns to the dirt, that our soul returns to the cycle, it's generally believed the mind simply rests. It's hypothesized powerful gods are able to absorb the mind of their fallen followers, letting them still exist within some metaphysical space. But this is not what Trigar was promising. Trigar was promising a paradise for the living. Of course, the prophet was met with suspicion. Many mortals already had their chosen gods and weren't ready to spend their time worshipping another. So to prove their claims, their skull broke open, and from it a shapeless, colorful mass grew and flew up into the sky towards the mountains. Unsurprisingly, this changed a lot of people's minds. The timing of this prophet's arrival was quite spectacular, as while many felt there was no need to seek out this god or its luxuries of paradise, as the Kata Empire was in a golden age. Its only age, as the empire would soon fall. So, how does one get to paradise? That was the question on many people's minds. Luckily for me, being the dragonfly, I can devote a few lives to figuring out the process. I found it to be 5 steps to get it to paradise. The first, ever so simple, is to consume a large amount of Trigar's blessings. This will allow you to enter a trance-like state, one in which Trigar will speak to you, showing you visions of the path you must take. During this time, shortly after regaining consciousness, you are able to make a map. This is the one I created. Each map is individual and can seem confusing to those who didn't create it. For example, mine has west at the top. So let's fix that. It's no better. You would not be able to get any real directions from this map, but that isn't the point. The map is supposed to be a personal depiction on how one becomes enlightened on this pilgrimage. Once you have your map, you enter stage 2. You just start walking. Now, getting to the Mall Mountain Range isn't hard. Any direction you take, you'll end up hitting it eventually. This part is about trials. What is holding you back, keeping you tied to the dirt? Because Trigar eats the abstract, during this pilgrimage, you will be trying to denounce your concrete thoughts, denouncing what you believe you know for certain, or more importantly, denouncing reality. Reality is complicated. We can say there is only one true reality, but what that reality is, no one can really agree on. If you live your life believing a certain thing and acting in a way in which that certain thing is real, then to you it is as much as reality as anything else is. Once you've accepted this fact, we can make it to stage 3, the cave. This is the part of the pilgrimage where many pilgrims die. This is where you are meant to face against your dark heart, something in your life that causes you anxiety and pain. We tend to relate negative experiences to being ultimately truer than positive ones. When someone yells, you are seeing their true colors, as if when they are happy, it's a lie. For Trigar, this is a test to make sure her food is nutritious. Since Trigar specializes in the abstract, she has a hard time feasting on concrete thought. If you get past the cave, you will be rewarded with Trigar feasting off of you. This is stage 4. To the uninformed, this can seem quite scary. Having a god actively feast on you so directly is considered a trait of a predatory god. This is because it is. But Trigar makes sure not to harm the individual, allowing you to experience the strange liminal space of both being consumed, being aware, and being alive. This is the enlightenment. This enlightenment is similar to an afterlife. Your mind will, while being consumed yet still active, allows you to experience the world through Trigar. Many who connect to Trigar even briefly have described it as an outer body experience, one which they believe they've become a part of the god and a part of everything. My favorite description of this experience comes from a fellow pilgrim. It felt like a flower, a handsome flower, one that I want to impregnate, and he wanted to impregnate me. What that means, I have no idea. Once you have experienced this enlightenment, you make it to paradise, the Misty Peaks, a microclimate fueled by hot springs. It's humid and tropical, with abundance of food, and just the right amount of toxic air quality to give you a slight buzz. It's the perfect environment to indulge in the abstract thought, flowers prettier than the sun, animals who sing operas, and colors you'll never be able to see anywhere else. Pilgrims get to spend the rest of their days in this paradise, enjoying the blessings of Tygar, while, of course, feeding the deity. Shrigar teaches us while the afterlife is uncertain, your life as a mortal can still be a paradise. It's not easy, and while you don't have to go on this pilgrimage to reach it, perhaps coming to similar conclusions on what you really care about and that reality can be subjective can help us all create our own heaven. Thank you for joining me, snails. If you have any thoughts, questions, or concerns, now is the time to bring them up. For the more curious of you, there is still much to learn. I hope you join me next time as we explore the consequences of such a widespread God and belief system.